she is undefeated. She fought for the first time on December 2nd after 2 years of inactivity, and she is more than ready to conquer the world. Let's say
Absolutely.
that. She's way more than a boxer, however. So I am today with the pretty beast, Raquel Miller. Hi,
Hello,
Raquel. How
hello.
are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you because you have been away for 2 long years,
Yeah.
of inactivity on the boxing perspective because you were present on social medias a little bit. How are you, first of all?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and thank you for sharing your platform with me.
That's that. I'm very happy to have you. I was so happy to see that you were back. In to action. In a real boxing event. It happened not long time ago, as I said,
Hmm.
to December 2nd. Um,
Yes.
how did it feel to be back? What was the process? Why at this moment? Did you want to be back before and it couldn't happen because of the pandemic?
It's been a very long 2 years.
Yes.
A lot has happened within those 2 years that kept me out of the ring. So I was just really happy to finish the year back in the ring, back active, getting a win. That was just like really important to me. The pandemic definitely slowed a lot of things down. I had a lot of changes with my management, my promotion this year, which slowed me down some as well. So to finally just be out of that, a free agent, back active, is really, really just exciting for me because it's been very challenging to get back to this point.
To be a free agent, okay, that's a big thing, because we have two visions on this. Some boxers, they are like very very happy, and for them it's very important to have a very formal manager, promoter, and to follow the steps the way it is usually, when we compare with male boxing. In
Hmm.
women's boxing, well, we see more women like you with no promoter, or who decides you decide to manage your career by yourself.
Yes.
Was it a decision, a personal decision, or you felt you had no choice to make those changes and you would like later to find another way to promote your career?
For me, it was a very personal decision.
Hmm.
I felt like I was better off by myself. I think that a lot of times athletes get into these contracts with promoters and managers, and we have been conditioned to believe that that's the way to go, that you have to be
That's true.
signed, that you have to. Now, true enough, you do have to be aligned with, people that are able to help you get fights and things of that sort. But I think it's important for athletes, especially women, to understand that they can take their career into their own hands and that you don't have to wait for someone else, because waiting has been a big reason why I haven't been able to fight for a title, full title yet, or to be able
Mhm.
to have some of the fights that I've really wanted to have for a very long time. So this year was really just about betting on myself. It was about being brave enough to step out by myself and say, you know what, I don't like how things are going. I'm going to do everything in my power to change it. And whatever happens with that, I'm fine with it because it's my decision.
Yeah, and in women's boxing, especially, we see a lot of very bad deals with a long wait for something that never happens.
Yes.
So yeah, I can understand. I can understand your decision. We see more women doing this right now.
Hmm.
So this is something different. Male, they trust their promoters way more because they have more opportunities of fighting as well. So,
Exactly.
and people sometimes they say, well, yeah, but male, they are doing this that way. Yeah, but women is different. You have less women fighting. You have less opportunities because very little promoters give you showcase women on their events, first of
Exactly.
all. So yeah, we can compare exactly 100% of what is women's boxing with males boxing right now. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that that's why I can't fully discuss it all the way because it's still in the makings. But I
Mhm.
have plans to change that. I have plans to where we don't have to continuously wait for some of the male dominated promote. Well, the male boxing is a male dominated sport, period. But it's time for us to stop having to wait for only male promoters to put us on to shows and give us opportunities. It's time for us to create our own opportunities, or they may never come.
Yes, of course. Let's talk about what happened on December 2nd. You fought against Sarah Drayling. Uh,
Yes.
um, I saw that fight. I bought my pay-per-view and I
Thank you.
because I was very excited. You were back, you know. I was expecting this fight to happen and it was not happening. So yeah, I was very happy. How would you rate your performance? Because 2 years away, boxing has changed. You know, from 1 to 10, and you know, how would you rate it if 10 is the best, as an example?
10 being the best, I probably would rate my performance. I would say probably like a 7, something of that sort. Like I was just happy to be back, but I didn't feel I could have definitely. I feel like the time off definitely affected me and just kind of like the ring rust, so to speak. So it was just really about getting back into the groove. Unfortunately, we got the fight on the short notice. So that
Yeah,
wasn't, so that wasn't too ideal. But it's like, I wanted to fight. I wanted to get back into the ring. Much respect to my opponent. She was tough and she came to fight.
she was
Um,
tough. That's true.
yes,
She
and I
she,
was
she did
really
a great performance. Yes.
yeah, and I was happy to share the ring with her. So it's just onward and upward from here. There was times where I felt like I could have pushed the gas a little bit more, but it was just kind of like shaking back, getting back into the groove of things, and just being back into the ring. I was happy about that. I did want to go some rounds. Um, I would
Hmm.
be lying if I said I didn't want to stop her, but I didn't actually press as hard as I could have because I haven't been in the ring and I haven't gotten any rounds. So I was happy to get some rounds in for sure.
But she was tough.
But she was
she was.
definitely she
Yeah.
wasn't going anywhere. She she had no plans on getting stopped, and something like
She was there until the end. Now,
yes.
let's say that. But it was.
So it
I
wasn't
think
like yeah.
seven is very, very. You're hard on yourself. Seven, I would say
I would
eight.
damn near say 6. I just know I know that I haven't got to really fight at my full potential yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my last 2 fights have been, even though they've been very far apart, they've been short notice fights. They've been fights where it's just like, just go handle business. But I'm looking forward to getting back into the ring and having a full camp and going for a world title, fighting some of the bigger names in the sport. So I'm really excited about 2022. Um,
How many weeks did you have as a fight camp? One, two, three,
two,
none,
two,
two.
two. I
Okay,
had a
yeah.
little bit over 2 weeks. I had a little bit over 2 weeks.
Were you
So
already fight ready, or you needed to cut weight a bit?
definitely had to cut weight. The 2 years off was no fun for sure. Definitely had to cut weight. Like I've been in the gym, but it's not the same. Like you can be in the gym and you can stay ready and all of that. And I think the whole notion of stay ready so you don't have to get ready, I think some of that is kind of like not realistic because
Mhm.
you can't always compete at competition level. It's just not realistic to do it. So, was I in the gym? Yes. Was I in the gym camp mode, full on grinding? No. But
Yeah.
I know my skills. I know what I'm capable of. And I know when those lights hit me, it's time to fight. And no one, I don't care about anything else but getting the win.
And that's a good point you're bringing, because when you're always fight ready all year long, it means you do nothing else. You know, you're
And you
always
burn out.
yes,
And your
exactly.
body is not really meant to continuously be in fight ready. Even the mindset, it's like generally I'm just like a cool, easygoing, laid back person. But when it's fight time, I'm like, I'm dialed in. I'm a little kind of short. I'm a little more, mean. It's time to go to battle. And so I don't think it's really realistic to think that you can be in fight mode 24/7. Now,
Okay,
being shape in the gym, yes, but
yeah.
fight competition, no.
Is it because you were away 2 years that you decided to come back as a middleweight? Because if I'm not mistaken, you were super welter, a little bit more super welter right before, maybe in I remember you fighting in Quebec City as a super
Yes.
welter.
So
Is it a choice, or is it because of the 2 years of
it was
inactivity?
just the 2 years. So I'm definitely I fight usually 150. I fight my natural weight is more so a 160 pounder, but I can
Mhm.
fight at 154, and I'll probably finish my career and fight at 168. But it was more so like the short notice, the 2 years off, and I didn't really care to kill myself to make weight, and we didn't. It wasn't
Yeah.
for a title. It wasn't for something. It was just like a fight to get back and get active. So it was more so just because of the situation at hand.
But you can fight in both categories because there's
Yes.
not a lot of fighters in both categories right now. And I was like checking, preparing this interview a little bit and just
Mhm.
chat. And I was checking the categories and I was like, a lot of opportunities on both sides. Because,
Yes.
Clarissa Shields vacated most belts. And, a lot of girls are fighting for those belts at 154 right now. But
Mhm.
there's a space for you there.
Yes. So I don't want to limit myself. I want to be able to fight wherever the opportunities wherever the opportunities are. That's where I want to be able to fight. So I don't want to limit myself. And that was another reason why I'm really excited to just kind of forge forward, be in control of my own brand, and be able to get opportunities that I've been literally dying to get for a very long time. So I'm
True.
excited.
And as a middleweight as well, I was shaking. Clarissa Shields. They talk about Clarissa Shields going there. They talk about Savannah Marshall winning and being the queen of the category right now. And some other girls are good, but not a lot of girls are as good as you. So no, but that's true. Let's be honest. People were excited to see you come back at 160. I talked to many people, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, she can mess up the plans of Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall, this girl."
So
So
that's definitely the plan. It literally, like Maria, I've tried really hard to make some of these fights happen behind the scenes, and unfortunately, they haven't materialized yet. But I plan to ruin all their plans. 2022 is definitely going to be the year that I'm really looking to shake some things up. Like, it's been a long time coming, and I think that a big part of the reason why women boxing is starting to flourish a bit more now because the best need to fight the best. We need those exciting fights, and that's what's going to really push the sport forward. Like,
there's
why
way
not?
less ducking. There are way less ducking in women's boxing right now, and you can have more than one opportunity to fight for a belt.
Yes,
It doesn't matter that much that you lose. If you lose, you can come back 1 year after and have opportunities because
exactly.
against someone good is not a problem.
Yeah, and so it gives you, opportunities. And my thing is, I feel like I haven't really got to really showcase my skills and showcase
Mhm.
my talent. Um, and I'm really looking forward to that before, it's time to retire. So I'm really hoping that 2022 is the year that really I'm able to fight some of the, you know, best in the sport, so to speak, because I really want to show that I belong and that I can beat these girls. And the only reason why it hasn't happened is because I've never been given the opportunity. And that's another reason why it's important to bet on yourself and to believe in
Yes.
yourself, because a lot of times you think that it's within your control and it's not. And I feel like I've put in enough work to be deserving of an opportunity to fight for a title. Like, it's one thing to have an opportunity and lose, and it's another thing to never be given an opportunity. So,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
that's like it can be very disheartening, especially when you've been putting in so much work, and that's when you start to understand the politics of the sports and things like that. And that's a real thing. But we're forging ahead in 2022, and it's just onward and upward, and I'm going to be a world champion.
Oh, that's what I wanted to hear.
I'm going to be a world
The
champion.
goal is clear. The goal is
Yes,
clear.
yes.
But opportunities will be there. I think I totally agree with you. The timing is good right now to be talented in the categories you're targeting. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
that's the way I see it right now. Marie-Ève Dicker will fight for the belt she lost against Clarissa Shield earlier this year. In this Friday, we saw
Hmm.
at our ranking she got a belt. Patricia Bergult got a belt as well. So many opportunities to knock at different doors there. You have
Hmm.
Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields in the other category.
Hmm.
In the middleweight, Emma Cousin, so many girls that are there. And,
So many girls, so many opportunities. So 2022 should be a very exciting year, and I'm
all
looking
those
forward.
opportunities are belt opportunities, probably.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
So
yes.
I'm excited about that, and if everything works out, I'll be able to really work with some of the bigger promoters pretty soon. So I'm excited about that. I'm very excited.
Let's talk about how you started boxing, because for women the stories are all different. All women, they have a different stories, which is not the case with the men. When you ask them, they always have the same story, mainly because it's easier for them. It's a sport that is more natural.
Hmm.
We identify those violent sport or those contact sports with men usually. How did you start and why?
I started boxing. I grew up. I was always a tomboy, so I've always been an athlete. I've always played sports. With boxing, for me, I just really wanted to challenge myself. Like I wanted to get in shape, and I just really wanted to have one fight. But it was more so about I was breaking up with an ex, and I just really wanted to channel all of my energy and all of my focus. And it was really just about believing in myself and setting a goal and sticking to it. And what happened is I fell in love with boxing. It changed like my dedication and my focus and the way that I ate and how much I worked out. And I really fell in love with the sport. So when I had my first bout, um, I won and I won fight of the night. But it literally was just like such a surge of energy. And I felt so empowered that I was
Mhm.
addicted to it. And right at that time, they had just opened it up for the women to go to the Olympics in 2012. So I was like, well, I want to go to the Olympics. And everyone was like, oh, you can't go to the Olympics because you haven't been boxing long enough. You don't have the experience. And
Mhm.
I was like, yes, I can. I can do anything I put my mind to. And I just put it in my brain that I was going to the Olympics, and I just worked my butt off and I qualified for the Olympic trials. And I actually went to the 2012 games as a training partner alternate. And I'd only been boxing at that time for about a year and a half. So it just goes to the willpower of believing in yourself, trusting your journey. And from there, I just, kept going. And that's why I'm here today, just believing in myself and not being afraid to challenge myself because I think that nothing challenges you like boxing.
I think that's a part of your personality as well. This, growing your trust, your self confidence, challenging yourself. Talk to me a bit about ladies in power,
Yes.
because
So thank you so much for asking. Ladies in Power is my nonprofit organization. It's founded by my sister and I. And this was before I started boxing that we started a nonprofit. And it's really a mentorship program that helps women, young girls transition into adulthood. We teach them about, mental health, physical health, financial literacy. And then we offer counseling services. We offer, credit services. We really want to transition girls from adolescence to adulthood, and we really want to be like a big sister program to young women, and eventually we'll include men as well. It's very near and dear to my heart. This is our first year that we actually got some funding, so we're super
oh,
excited. Next year,
congratulations! That's
so much.
beautiful.
We're super excited. Next year, the program will launch in January. So anybody watching, if you're in the San Francisco area, please, reach out to us. Spaces are limited, but it's going to be an amazing program. We're very excited. And I just think it's important to share your light. I think it's important to share your journey and your story. And I think it's important to reach back. And that's why I'm always showing love to different girls and women that are in the sport because I know how hard it is. I know how challenging the sport can be. And I know how hard it is to get to, you start to progress in your career and you meet women and they're not always receptive. They're not always supportive. So I always want to be that woman that reaches back, that
Mhm.
brings women with me, and that grows the sport.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, beautiful from you and your sister, because I think That's a part of your, as I said, that's a part of your personality to share things. And you have ladies in power, you have your brand as well, Pretty Bees brand, PB brand. What I like about your brand, and you can talk to me a bit about your vision after for the PB brand as well, is that like you we see that body diversity is not a problem for you. Sometimes we have athletes pushing people to lose weight, or people, influencers, or you know what I mean.
Yes.
And you push people to eat healthy. You push people to train, but you in your brand we see that body diversity, that everyone is beautiful no matter if they are skinny, curvy, tall, and so on. And this is a vision of in your life in general, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that right now, with the space of social media and so much pressure on women and girls to be a certain way, to look a certain way, I always want to encourage women to just be healthy in whatever form that you feel you need to be. You don't have to fit into the standards or the society norm. And so with my brand and anything that I represent, it's going to represent inclusion. It's going to represent a variety of women, white, black, Latino. They're going to be, curvy, slim, because there is no one way to be. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to find, our purpose and, be confident and showing
Uh-huh.
up as we are. And so that's what my brand is always going to represent. This year has been a very challenging year for me.
Oh yeah, I
And
can believe it.
it's been like very challenging. I lost my mom earlier this year. And so
Mm.
that really put a halt to some of the activity for me with my brand, with boxing and things of that sort. But I think it's important to encourage people to be okay with taking time for yourself. You know,
Yes.
therapy, meditation, counseling, whatever it is that you need to do to get better, that's what you need to do. So, a big portion of this year for me was just getting back to a place where I felt happy and dealing with some of the grief and dealing with some of the things that I was dealing with inside of my personal life and then also my career. So, anything that I do, it's always going to be authentic. It's always going to be inclusive and it's always going to be genuine because I don't really believe in being something that I'm not. I'm always going to be true to myself, no matter what.
Yes, and there's a place in a gym for someone who is curvy, for someone who is skinny. There's a place
Yeah,
in the gym for everyone. And
yeah.
no matter, you don't need to lose always to have this target of losing weight. You can just be healthy and happy where you are.
And it's some people that are trying to gain weight. Like it's not
Yes.
always to lose weight. Some people are trying to gain weight. Some people are trying to gain muscle. And so for me, it's like I lost 50 pounds to have my first fight. I struggle. I challenge myself to make weight. Like I'm no different than a lot of women in the space that I don't always love my body. I'm not always like, oh, picture perfect and picture ready, but it's okay because no matter what I show up as, I'm myself and that's okay. And that's one thing that I want my brand to represent. I don't want to have a brand that represents false standards. Like being a pretty beast is being a beast to yourself. It means loving yourself. That means showing up authentic. That means being resilient in whatever it is that you believe in and being confident enough to come into a room and be okay if they like you or they not, or they don't, or they don't.
You said something very interesting a couple of minutes ago. You said this year was challenging for me. I wanted to find back my happiness.
Mhm.
Um, you know, how important is it for an athlete to go through this process before fighting again? Because you lost your mom. You said you were very close to her. It
Mhm.
was and I think your gear for your last fights were there was a little touch of your mom on this, right? So
Mhm.
that's probably that was a part of the process as well. And people, they were talking a lot about Teofimo Lopez fight, the last fight.
Mhm.
He was very emotional on the canva, and
Mhm.
maybe it affected his boxing.
I
Can you
definitely
talk
think
to
it
me
did.
about that? Yes.
Yeah, like boxing as a whole for me is generally mental. It's and I think that a lot of people challenges believing that they're worthy and fighting the bad thoughts, fighting the negative thoughts, fighting the emotion because you're literally trying to control them. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
want to be hyped enough to be able to get up for the fight, but then you want to be calm enough to where you're not so overly excited that you're tired or that you burn yourself out before the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so being emotionally available is really important when you're going to get in that ring because if you're not you can get killed in that ring. So that was important.
Mm-hmm.
So for a few months I didn't even have the strength honestly to go to the gym. I i felt a lot of depression and grief, and I had to redefine my why, because a big part of my why was to help my mom and to help her get more healthy and move her to a different house and so on and so forth. And when she passed away, it made me say, like, what am I doing and why am I doing this? And then also a part of me felt like I had failed, if I'm being honest, because I ran out of time. I spent so
Mm-hmm.
much time working on boxing and working on my craft and so much sacrifice. Then my mom passes away and I'm like, damn, I could have spent more time with my mom. And so now you're battling a lot of different things. And I think that a lot of athletes, especially boxing and people that compete in combat sports, it's a different level of pressure on you because you can lose a basketball game, but you lose a fight and everyone says, "Oh, did you get knocked out? Did you get beat up?" And it's like it's
True.
a different type of sport, so you have to have a different level of confidence and a different level of toughness about yourself to say, no matter what happens when I step into this ring, I'm still the best. No matter how this plays out, I deserve to be here. I work my butt off for this opportunity, and no matter what happens, like this getting to this place is a accomplishment in itself.
And
And I
if you box with too many negative emotions stuck
yes,
inside, you will not follow any. You cannot follow any match plan. I mean, and you,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
people they forget that it's not like just knocking and to knock people, to knock out people or knock down people. It's there's a strategy under all that boxing thing.
yeah.
Preparation.
It
So
is. Like I definitely felt more emotional this fight than I have ever felt before.
which
I
is
literally
normal.
probably cried about 10 minutes after my fight with my aunt.
Mm.
Just like it was like very emotional just to finally like be back in the ring, but then also, without being able to call my mom and say, "Hey, can you pray for me, mom?" Or, sometimes she would come to my fight. So I think that Telefimo, circling back to that, I think his emotions lost in the fight. I
I
think
do
that
think the same. Yeah, I do think the same. He was boxing so emotional. He was not listening to any.
and I
It's like you cannot hear. You don't hear anymore what's said in the corner. Yeah, what's
it's a
said.
different yes, it's a difference between fighting and boxing. And
Mhm,
I've struggled with that before. Like I've started
mhm.
fights really, really hyped up and I'll come back to the corner and my coach will be like damn near ready to slap me and say, "What are you doing?" I said focus. I said start calm or whatever. And I'm like, all right, you got it. Okay, I have to like recenter myself and refocus. And I think that Telefimo's dad definitely played a part in his loss. I think that
Yeah.
it's important for your corner to tell the truth to you and don't tell me I'm winning the fight if I'm not. And if
Mhm.
I'm too emotional, help me get back centered and say, look, this person is catching you with the right hand. You need to roll the right hand. You need to slip the right hand. You need to keep your hands up. You need to get your emotions in check and get back to boxing. And I think had he got some real, instructions as opposed to knock him out or whatever,
Mhm.
I think that he probably would have done better because I think he's a very talented boxer.
For
And I
sure.
hope that this loss really helps him, get back focused and remember what his skills are and what got him to this place.
Yes, that's true. I see it the same, exactly the same way you're explaining it right now. That's the way I saw it. Um, let, Women's boxing, okay? We hear a lot about this 3 minute rounds thing, okay? Some people, some girls, anyway, everyone has an opinion, okay? Boys and girls, but some women, they say, oh, I want the 3 minute rounds no matter what, no matter how. Some women, they say, I would like a better pay increase as well because more minutes is
More
more
money.
thing, so more money, more salary. Some women, they even want to stay at 2 minutes. What's your, do you have an opinion about that, and what's your thought?
I do. First, I think it can be weird because, and I'll tell you why. We naturally train 3 minutes. Like
True.
we just train 3 minutes. And so when it's, so I train 3 minutes all the time. And then when it's like a week or so before the fight, or, sometimes like maybe 3 sessions, sparring sessions before the fight, I tone it down to 2 minutes. And sometimes with the 2 minute rounds, you feel like you got to go. It's like you just got to go because it's like
Yeah,
in so quickly.
punching no matter how, no matter what.
You don't really feel like you have the time to kind of, place your shots as much. It kind of
Mhm.
keeps it at a more of a higher pace. But then at the same time, they're paying women pennies on the dollar. So if we have to go 3 minutes, which is fine, pay us accordingly and stop paying us pennies on the dollar, because regardless of the fact, if you're going 3 minute rounds, that means that's still more wear and tear on your body, and we should be paid accordingly. So I think that 3 minutes are fine for women, but if you're going to change it, then you need to pay us accordingly. And if not, then I'm fine with the 2 minutes, because we shouldn't be paid. We should be paid. And if we're not, then why take more punishment on your body?
Yeah, most women, they need to find another job aside of boxing. They cannot live from, some are coaching, it's still related to boxing, but like it's not
Yeah,
boxing, it's different.
absolutely. And a lot
True.
of boxing women are working full time jobs. And, like I worked a full time job for years, and now I run my business and now my organization. But it's very challenging to try to be at the top of your game and train full time and not being able to, you know, pay your bills and things like that. So I tip my hat to any woman that's in combat sports, because it's a job
Yes,
for
and
sure.
and you risk your life as well. People, they forget this. Like, you risk your life as well. It's not always, because we hear old school people, sometimes they say, yeah, but they don't sell pay-per-views, women. Now they start to sell more pay-per-views. We see very, very good high quality fights right now, because you said it earlier, the best, they fight the best. So
Yeah. And a big part of it is, I think that it's all marketing and it's all,
true.
publicity and strategy. And I feel like, of course, the women aren't being able to sell big pay per view numbers if you don't promote them properly. We're not able to really be promoted and have the 24/7 access and the build ups to the fights. And I think that if anybody has a question of if women can sell, all you have to do is take a look at Dana White and how he's pushed and promoted UFC women to the point where it doesn't even really, all of the women are getting promotions. They're put on these cards, and it's not about like, oh, women UFC fighters and the men are here. It's like, these are the UFC fighters. Whoever is the most popular is going to get the, you know, main
The
event
spots
spot,
and the money.
and
Yeah.
they're promoted properly. And that's the big difference in women boxing. We have nobody that's championing for us. I think that Eddie Hearn has been doing a decent job of being able to give women more access and more, quality fights, which is awesome. But then you take a lot of the other promoters where you just have one girl signed to them. How can you push the sport forward if you have like these, so quote unquote the best, but there's only one or two? Then they fight a lot of the other women that aren't that popular or aren't that, you know, as skilled as they are, and now the fights look very lopsided. Now they're not exciting to see. But when you put the best fight in the best, you get the fights like the Michaela Mayer versus the Mama Douche and things of that sort, where you're like, whoa,
True.
these
Yes.
girls can fight. Like, this is a fight. You get exciting fights, and then you get to see the skills. And then you get to see that these girls can really fight. These girls can actually box, and you're entertained. So it's really a matter of, give us the platform and then let us show you what we can do.
Some promoters, they say, oh, we have women, yeah, but they are never on TV. They are always
Exactly.
on the Facebook page before or even after the event.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you expect us to be able to shine? And not only that, you put us in very unfavorable slots on the card, and people don't really recognize that. Like, you're not in a favorable spot on the card. Like, some of the women just fought on the Javante Davis
Mhm.
undercard. Why couldn't we see them? because a lot of these guys fighters, and they can feel however they want to feel. They're not always exciting to watch. They don't always have really good fights. So, and then
True.
they're not known. You never heard of a lot of these guy fighters, but they're always given opportunities. They're given TV slots. So it's like, well, what's the difference? Why not try us out, so to speak? Because it's not like all the guys are just killing it and, having amazing fights and doing so much either. So why not at least, you know, give us some spaces and not just certain people, or certain women are getting all of the shine, where it's like it still takes two people to get into the ring. That's why I show respect to any opponent, because it's very hard to even be brave enough to step into that ring and step through those ropes, no matter who you are. So that's why that's one of my plans for 2020 is to create a platform for women and
Oh,
show
that's
them,
very interesting. That's
like
interesting.
that's one of my goals before I leave the sport, is to make it better than what it's been for me. And if I don't like the opportunities that's being presented or the lack of, then maybe it's time for me to create something for women.
Because gyms are full of young little girl,
Absolutely.
fighting or trying to
Yeah.
interest themselves to that sport. So there's a future for women's boxing for
There's
sure.
definitely a future, and I think that it's going to be up to women like myself and you, creating a platform for us and
Mhm.
creating a space, because there is no space for us, and that's why it's important. And I think that that's going to be my work once I'm done boxing.
You're probably the women who fought more Clarissa Shields in the amateur. You had so many fights against her. Obviously, she won all of them because she's almost undefeated in the amateurs. Now,
Hmm.
with your experience as a pro and your background, do you feel you have the skills to
Um,
box Clarissa
Not to
Shields
cut you
again
off,
and
I
win?
feel like I got the decision. I feel like I should have gotten some of those amateur decisions, if I'm being honest. And I'm not a person that
Mhm.
says like, "Oh, I was robbed." But if you know the sport and if you've been at some of the fights and you see the scorecards, they speak for themselves. A lot of split decisions in there. Um, I've been had the skills to fight Clarissa. I've been had the skills to beat Clarissa. It's just a matter of giving me the showcase and giving me the opportunity. There's been a lot of, hearsay, and there's been a lot of BS about, oh, we offered her a fight, and but the facts of the matter is I've never gotten a championship offer to fight Shields. I would love to, um, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity. I've been ready, and I've been had the skills. It's just a matter of the opportunity.
That's the fight I want the most to see. Of course, everyone talks about, Savannah Marshall against Shield, of course, because there's a
Mhm.
background there as well. She won
Yeah,
again. She won
and I
on
was there.
Clarissa.
And I was
You
there in
know,
that fight. And that's
yeah.
fine. I was there at that fight. That was the Worlds 2012. That
Yes.
was my first time going to the World. So, yeah, and I got nothing but respect for Marshall. I think she's a good fighter. I would love to fight her too.
But that's the fight I want to see. After this,
Yeah.
okay, go and fight Marshall. And after this, I really want to see Clarissa Shields against Raquel
And I think
Miller.
she wants to fight me. I think she wants to fight me. So I feel like it's just a matter of 2022. It's around the corner, and there's nothing but space and opportunity for us to make it happen.
And it would be an excellent fight because of all that rivalry from the amateurs.
Absolutely.
I think it nourishes, good fights
Absolutely.
as well. Yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
When there's a background there,
Yeah, there's
usually
a
it
lot of
brings
history there.
something. Yes.
Definitely, there's a lot of history there, and you know,
Mhm.
and I just, like I said, I tip my hat to all the women that are pushing the sport forward. But I definitely want my chance to meet them on the other opposite end of the ring.
I will ask you random questions. Okay.
Okay.
You can answer short and you can say, no, I don't want to answer. Okay.
Okay.
Who is the kindest boxer outside the ring?
Who's the
Women or men?
kindest?
The kindest.
I would have to say Katie Taylor was literally a sweetheart. I met her years ago in the amateurs, and she was literally one of the sweetest boxers I've ever met.
Okay, so Katie Taylor, she's a beast on the ring,
But she's
but
a
she's the
sweetheart.
sweet girl outside. Okay.
Absolutely.
A tough girl inspiring.
A tough girl inspiring. Um, I met a young lady when I was in camp in Colombia. Her name is Tanya, and I don't know her last name, but she's super tough and she's tall and rangy. And she used to give me hell in sparring. And shout out to her. I can't think of her last name right now, but I
But
think
she will recognize herself if she
yeah, but she's
listens.
dope. I met her in Colombia, and she's always been tough sparring. I was actually going to fly her out here to help me get ready for the Hannah Gabriel's fight, but unfortunately, the fight got
Mhm.
canceled. But she's dope, and shout out to Tanya. I think that she was tough.
If you have to choose one fight, your dream fight, no matter, and doesn't have
Yeah.
to be in your category, okay? But
Hmm.
your dream fight, what would it be?
With me in it, or just
Yes,
anybody
with
fighting.
you in it.
I it definitely would be. Does she have to be active?
No,
No,
it's a dream
it's a
fight.
couple of women that I would have liked to compete against. Of course, Shields is at the top of my list of wanting to compete against her. Um, I would have loved to fight Layla Ali, and I would have
Hmm.
loved to be able to compete against Lucia Riker. I think that Lucia Riker is pretty much my favorite all-time woman boxer,
She was
and
spectacular.
she was amazing.
Yes.
She's a bad lady, and I would have loved to been able to compete against her. I just think that she's amazing, and I think that she doesn't get enough credit because she was in, like she was one of those trailblazers that I felt like kind of went unnoticed unless you really know the sport. But she's like my favorite, and of course, you have to tip your hat to Christy Martin because she literally excited me as a young girl seeing her on the Tyson undercard, and I
She
think that
opened all the doors for all of you.
all the doors.
Mm,
She's amazing, and she opened so many doors. She has an amazing story. But I remember getting goosebumps watching her on the Tyson undercard,
mm.
and I think that's the type of promotion women boxing need because we all know Christy Martin, but it was definitely a big part of. She was very talented, but she was also in the right spots. She was on the Tyson undercard in a visible spot to whereas people
That's
had,
what we want. That's what
that's
we
what we
want.
want, and
The exact spot women's need to have
that's what we
sometimes.
need. And because she was talented and she had her pink shorts and she was, handling business. But not only that, she was in a prime spot. They gave her the undercard of Tyson, but they put her in a very favorable spot to whereas it was like she was like maybe a fight or two before Tyson came on. All eyes were on her. And
But
that's
Tyson respected her a lot, and we saw it
exactly.
in the in the Netflix movie
Yeah.
about her.
And I
Yes.
think that if more male boxers championed women fighters and
Mhm.
really, advocated for us, I think the sport will go further because look at just Tyson saying, I support her. I want her on my undercard and I want her in a very, visible spot. Look at what that did for her and her career and look how it pushed the sport forward. So if
That's
more
a
male
very good
fighters
point. That's a very good point what you bring. That male boxers should ask for more women on
and
their undercard.
advocate for us. It's like because if you are my teammate, and we don't train any different. It's not like a woman's workout and then a male's. But when my coach, gives us a workout, we all have to do it just the same. So a lot of the male fighters, if you have women in your gym or women that that you support or that you like or whatever, why not advocate for us? Why not say, hey, put them in these spots? Just because it's obvious that a lot of the promoters are older men that don't see the vision. They just don't get it. And it's a new
True.
day and age of boxing, and it's a new time, and it's not a space where women don't care if you like to see us fight or not. We're gonna fight. We're gonna be here. So,
Mhm.
why not get behind us? Because it's not your job to tell us what we can and can't do.
Who's the hardest puncher you have ever faced, no matter if it's in the amateur or pro?
Good question. Um, Hardest female puncher that I've faced. Uh,
You can say no one. I was the one on the ring.
no, because I would be lying. Well, the hardest I've ever got punched from a woman was from the heavyweight Martha Salazar. We used to spar, and she punched me. We used to spar, and she wouldn't like go full on, but like sometimes we would have like really good sessions. So she was a really hard puncher. But Martha Salazar, she's a heavyweight champ, former world champion. She's out of the Bay Area, and I think that Martha was probably the hardest I've ever been punched by a woman. And one of my male teammates, Aaron Coley. He almost broke my nose one time. I think that's the hardest I've ever been punched by a guy.
Amanda Serrano or Katie Taylor?
I don't know. I was literally just watching Katie the other day, and then I watched someone say, I'm like 50-50. I don't know. I think that Serrano is stronger, but Katie has a bunch of bite down. So I'm literally on the fence. I don't know.
I say Serrano. Okay, I say
Yeah.
Serrano. Yeah.
Okay.
But like it's okay. It's okay. I asked the same question to everyone and everyone has a different answer right now.
Yeah, I'm not
Clarissa
sure.
Shields or Savannah Marshall? Clarissa Shields or Savannah Marshall?
I'm gonna be no fun. I'm like, I don't know. I think I don't know. These are good fights. I don't even know if I would bet my money on these fights. I think I don't know. Maybe I
Oh, you
think
wanted
that
to say Savannah.
like I think that if Savannah, I think that the fight is really going to come down to tactics, and I think that that's a better for me. That's kind of how I would play it out. It's going to be who fights the smartest strategic fight. So I
If
think
you're
that
Savannah Marshall, how would you prepare for this fight? What,
I
as an
think she
example, I think she's about to have one fight before, at least
Mhm.
one other fight before. What kind of fighter should she face in preparation for Clarissa?
I think that she should go back to her toolbox and what beat her in the amateurs: boxing, movement. She had the game plan back in the amateurs in China. I think that so obviously she had a good game plan. I think that fighters grow and evolve, but I think that she should
Because
stick to
Clarissa
what.
Shield is not easy to knock out.
Yeah.
She will need maybe to have more rounds in the body than what she has
Mhm.
right now. So
Yeah, so I think that it's really going to come down to tactics, and I think it's going to come down to tactics and game plans. And I think that if I were Savannah, I would stick to what's been working for me. Use your range, use your length, use your jab. And I think that you have to change your mindset into the sense of, which I think she already does it. But when I walk into the ring, I have no respect in the sense of, I don't care what you accomplish. I don't care that you're a world champ. I don't care. It's me versus you, and it's time to get it on. And
it's one boxing moment, one single boxing moment,
mhm.
and everything can happen.
Exactly. And so that's kind of always been my thinking. And I think that's what should be Savannah's mindset. And I think that Shields, I think, she's wants to avenge her loss to Savannah. And I think that, she's grown and obviously she's won these titles and so on and so forth. So, she's gotten better. I think if she's patient and she picks the right fight, I think she'll do well. But either way, I don't care about either one win. I want to fight whoever wins. I want to fight them
You're
both.
ready. You're
I,
next.
I just
You're
want to fight
next.
them both. I don't care who wins, but yeah.
Thank you so much. That
Thank
was
you so
fun.
much.
I was very happy to have you. Um,
Thank you. And
I
before we
like,
go, oh, I'm
yes,
sorry to cut you off,
no,
but my nonprofit is ladiesempower.org. You guys can check us out, see what we're all about. I'm going to be relaunching my brand early at the top of the year. I'm actually going to have some pieces rolling out. So I'm really excited. And, keep your fingers crossed for me that this contract goes through and we have some very exciting news to share for some upcoming fights. So,
I
and
will
thank you
follow
so much.
your journey.
Watching Katie the other day, and then I watched someone say, I'm like 50-50. I don't know. I think that Serrano is stronger, but Katie has a bunch of bite down. So I'm literally on the fence. I don't know.
I say Serrano. Okay, I say
Yeah.
Serrano. Yeah.
Okay.
But like it's okay. It's okay. I asked the same question to everyone and everyone has a different answer right now.
Yeah, I'm not
Clarissa
sure.
Shields or Savannah Marshall? Clarissa Shields or Savannah Marshall?
I'm gonna be no fun. I'm like, I don't know. I think I don't know. These are good fights. I don't even know if I would bet my money on these fights. I think I don't know. Maybe I
Oh, you
think
wanted
that
to say Savannah.
like I think that if Savannah, I think that the fight is really going to come down to tactics, and I think that that's a better for me. That's kind of how I would play it out. It's going to be who fights the smartest strategic fight. So I
If you're
think that
Savannah Marshall, how would you prepare for this fight? What,
I
as an
think she
example, I think she's about to have one fight before, at least
Mhm.
one other fight before. What kind of fighter should she face in preparation for Clarissa?
I think that she should go back to her toolbox and what beat her in the amateurs. Boxing, movement, she had the game plan back in the amateurs in China. I think that so she obviously she had a good game plan. I think that fighters grow and evolve, but I think that she should
Because
stick to
Clarissa
what
Shield is not easy to knock out. She will need maybe to have more rounds in the body than what she has
Mhm.
right now. So
Yeah, so I think that it's really going to come down to tactics. And I think it's going to come down to tactics and game plans. And I think that if I were Savannah, I would stick to what's been working for me. Use your range, use your length, use your jab. And I think that you have to change your mindset into the sense of, which I think she already does it. But when I walk into the ring, I have no respect in the sense of, I don't care what you accomplish. I don't care that you're a world champion. I don't care. It's me versus you, and it's time to get it on.
it's
And
one boxing moment, one single boxing moment,
mhm,
and everything can happen.
exactly. And so that's kind of always been my thinking. And I think that's what should be Savannah's mindset. And I think that Shields, I think, she's wants to avenge her loss to Savannah. And I think that, she's grown and obviously she's won these titles and so on and so forth. So, she's gotten better. I think if she's patient and she picks the right fight, I think she'll do well. But either way, I don't care about either one wins. I want to fight whoever wins. I want to fight them
You're
both.
ready. You're
I,
next.
I just
You're
want to fight them
next.
both. I don't care who wins, but yeah.
Thank you so much. That
Thank
was
you so
fun.
much.
I was very happy to have you. Um,
Thank you. And
I
before we
like,
go, oh, I'm
yes,
sorry to cut you off,
no,
but my nonprofit is ladiesempower.org. You guys can check us out, see what we're all about. I'm going to be relaunching my brand early next at the top of the year. I'm actually going to have some pieces rolling out. So I'm really excited. And, keep your fingers crossed for me that this contract goes through and we have some very exciting news to share for some upcoming fights. So,
and we
and
will
thank you
follow
so
your
much.
journey. We will follow your journey in 2022 because it sounds already exciting.
It's very exciting. And thank you so much for sharing your platform with me. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And let's definitely stay in touch.
You're welcome. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.